What's up guys, Sub-Zeric here for another talkie type video, and today I have a really fun thing to talk about. This is going to be a video about the influence of luck in TFT, how to make your own luck, and the fact that the best players in TFT are not the luckiest, they are the best players. And I just wanted to say what inspired me to make this video is every day I go to the gym. Okay, I don't go to the gym every day, but I've been trying to go 5 days a week, which is pretty good. But 5 days a week, I go to the gym, I do my sets, and while I'm recovering in between sets, I pull out my phone and I read manga on my phone. And I was reading Blue Lock, which is a fantastic manga. I am absolutely in love with this manga. And I was reading Blue Lock, and they were talking about luck in a way that I thought was really astute, in a way that really speaks to a lot of concepts in TFT, specifically in a very analogous fashion. So I wanted to show you guys some panels from Blue Lock and talk through, in my opinion, what they mean for TFT and for luck in general. Now, I will say, these aren't really spoilers for Blue Lock, I would say. It's really, like, it doesn't spoil anything that happens between any characters or anything like that. And the chapters that I'm talking about are chapters that have already been adapted in the anime. So even if you care about spoilers, I mean, if you're someone who wants to go in 1,000,000,000% blind, then I guess click off the video. But even if you care about spoilers, I would not consider these spoilers. So let me pause this real quick and click into my manga panels that I have downloaded. Okay, so this guy, Rin, I'm not going to talk too much about like the context of what this is happening in, because this is a spoiler, but I'm going to read through the panels and talk about what I think they mean. So he says, "The factor known as luck is no mere coincidence. It only comes to those who act from a deep desire. Since you can't understand that, you have no right to exist in the world of battle." What a beast. All right, that's the first one. And I'm going to go through these panels and then talk through them afterwards. Next, Ego. This guy is a crazy guy who has a lot of thoughts about different things. But one thing, the entire reason that I wanted to make this video is this panel right here. Luck isn't something that exists everywhere. It only comes to whoever's standing where it's going to land. And if you guys don't know Blue Lock, this is a soccer manga / anime. So it's a soccer metaphor, but I think the soccer metaphor is so apt to talk about this. I got a few more panels of Ego talking more. "If you have to think about how luck has come your way, it's already too late. Train yourself to imagine and prepare for luck so you can seize it when it comes around. You need to determine where that chance is going to land and then wait there. The goddess of luck only smiles on the ones who can sniff that out. Soccer has both luck and coincidences. Are you still going to cry about this result being a mere coincidence? You're still just second rate as long as you're at the mercy of luck." And then the last one, "If you've expended your effort, then puff out your chest. Your next challenge is to become someone who can carve the outcome of coincidences into your soul. Luck falls equally on humans who can truly fight," which is just, I think, the perfect one to end it on there. So I want to talk through what I think these quotes mean in context of TFT, and just talk about, in general, luck in TFT. So I'm going to go through them one by one and talk about my interpretation of them and what I think they mean for TFT. So first, the quote from Rin: "Luck is no mere coincidence. It only comes to those who act from a deep desire." This is the one I have to stretch to the most to be about TFT, and like I don't even really agree with him that much. But the way that I interpret this one is that if you know anything about this character in the manga, he is someone who has dedicated his entire life to being good at soccer. And not even necessarily because he enjoys soccer that much. It's because he has a deep desire to be good at soccer, to overcome his older brother, I believe it is, in soccer. And so he is so good at soccer, he's so skilled at this area, that luck pushes him to the next level. He can already destroy people without relying on luck whatsoever. But sometimes when he needs that extra little tiny bit to get to, the win in a match or something like that, luck is what can actually get him there because he is already so good. For someone who's mediocre at soccer, luck doesn't mean anything because it's not going to get you to the next level. You have to get yourself 99% of the way there, and then luck can give you that final 1% to get you over the hump. So that's what I think about that quote, but that's the one that I want to talk about the least. And now into the Ego quotes because I think they're so good. And the main one that inspired this video. Luck only comes to those who stand where it's going to land. What this means in TFT and in, I don't know, in life, in everything, is that you need to be in a position where you can take advantage of luck. And we're going to talk about this for some of the other quotes, but people often talk about this as like putting yourself in the position to high roll. This is having really good econ so that you have enough gold to roll down and hit everything. This is, and my God, this song is, I don't like this one. This is, you know, pushing levels. You'll see people who do like the Bebe levels, they hit level 7 really early, and then they'll high roll a 5 cost. Well, it's impossible to hit that 5 cost if you didn't do the Bebe level and push level. So doing things that give yourself the potential of having a positive outcome that occur and giving yourself the highest chance of having those things that occur. That's the biggest thing, is, you know, having 50 gold to roll down on level 8 so that in your last 10 gold, you hit the shop with 2 cinders in it and you have cinder 2. That's really, really important in TFT, is being able to get to that point, because if you waste your econ earlier in the game and you don't have enough gold to get to that final shop that has the 2 cinders in it, then it doesn't matter, because you were never going to find that double cinder shop because you didn't have the gold to get there. And so putting yourself in that spot is what's so important in TFT, and what so many people neglect about understanding TFT is that putting yourself in the position to high roll is one of the best things that you can do to have a positive outcome in TFT. And you put yourself in a position to high roll by playing good TFT, by win streaking, which gives yourself a bunch of extra econ and HP to play from. What if your game of TFT, you're 100 HP, you win streak the entire early game, and then you drop really, really low because you're losing every single fight, and then at 1 HP, you get perfectly off carousel, you know, your last unit that you need for a 3-star 4 cost. Well, if you hadn't saved all that HP earlier, you wouldn't have actually made it to that 1 HP win out from hitting the 3-star 4 cost. So just giving yourself the best chance possible, and I'm going to talk about this more in the next one, the next sort of like chapter of this idea, but giving yourself the best chance possible to high roll is really, really important in TFT. And yeah, I will talk about the next section. The next quote from Ego is, if you have to think about how luck has come your way, it's already too late. And this, I think, talks to the preparation that you have to put into luck. Also, my God, speaking of which, Lady Luck in this game is kind of hilarious. I did not do that on purpose, but I pulled up a VOD, and yeah, and this person going Malphite reroll, what a beast. But the idea of this is the preparation of luck. And I think this is something that people neglect so much in TFT, is understanding what high rolls are. Identifying what actually is a high roll in TFT is a huge skill, and one that I think so many people neglect. People watch Setsuko and Dish Soap, and they hit a unit in shop, and they say, oh, this is such a high roll. And it is a high roll, but you only know that it's a high roll because Setsuko and Dish Soap have told you that it's a high roll. Very often, the moments that are stuck in my head are when people are rolling on 7 or 8 and they hit a random 5 cost. And the difference between a good 5 cost in your comp and a bad 5 cost in your comp are, I mean, it's huge, right? The difference between those two things. But sometimes people will see a 5 cost and people would say, oh, well, they hit a 5 cost, it must be good. I hit a Hui on my roll down in my trick shot comp. I can fit Hui onto my board and duplicate something. No, you really can't. Hitting a Xayah, that's a high roll, right? And that's a very obvious example, but there are much more niche examples of understanding, you know, hitting this unit in this position allows me to play around it. And the big thing is that so many TFT players will skip high rolls because they don't recognize that they are high rolls. They'll hit a broken augment, but they aren't comfortable playing that augment, so they won't play that comp. Or, for example, they'll say you have an early start where, you know, you think you're playing duelists, and then you get dropped something like a really strong 4-cost unit. You get dropped like an Ashe from your shop or something, but you've already locked yourself in your mind to playing around duelists. But hey, maybe you're pumping up and your augment is really flexible and fantastic to play from Ashe. Some people, so many people, would skip the Ashe and say, well, I'm playing duelists, I have this line. And recognizing the high roll of hitting that Ashe is really important. Recognizing that sometimes that's not a high roll. Recognize that, you know, I've slammed a BT, I've slammed a Hodge, I probably can't play Ashe from this spot, so that actually isn't a high roll. That is a huge part of TFT as well, is recognizing what is and isn't a high roll, and that's what these good players do so well in TFT, and that's why I think so many people see the good players, and they, after seeing their decision, say, well, obviously that was a high roll. I can see that it was a high roll because you played around it so well. But if you were in that position, very few players would be able to identify every single part where that player high rolled and understand how to play around that adequately. So I think that is one of the biggest parts of it. The other thing that I didn't even talk about is knowing different lines, knowing what the broken augments are, and knowing how to play around those in a game like TFT, like niche lines. If you take the Living Forge augment and you get dropped, a Nashers, and you can play around Bard reroll, it's a pretty niche line. If you get dropped Blighting Jewel and you can play around Teemo, if you play a Teemo reroll line, Teemo Lux reroll, which I've been a big proponent of, so many people just wouldn't play that line. But I think it's a really strong line. Understanding, 2 healthy lines on the last patch, knowing that 2 healthy is one of the most broken augments that you can get, and you can play around the Zyra line, and it's so insane. There are players out there who don't know that that's a broken line or didn't know that that's a broken line, and that's hugely influential to your game plan. If you don't know that that's a broken line, you are leaving EV, you are leaving positive, games on the table because you don't know that line. And I think that is one of the biggest aspects to luck in TFT, is that preparation. Like Ego talks about, if you have to think about how luck has come your way, it's already too late. If you have to try to figure out if this is lucky or not, then you're already behind. You need to already know what is lucky from your preparation, from seeing other people play it, from knowing how the lines work, and then you can put that into practice by actually taking advantage of that luck and using it to win games and to win fights and to gain LP, stuff like that. Another quote that I think, the third quote from Ego that I think is so smart and actually is so applicable to TFT. You're still just second rate as long as you're at the mercy of luck. Now, people will say that, when you're playing at TFT, you are by definition at the mercy of luck. If you want to play Ash reroll and you natural a 3 Ash shot, or Ash reroll, if you want to play Ash and at 4-1 you roll once and hit 3 Ashes, then your game will be much easier than if you roll to 0 and see 0 Ashes. And this is true. This is objectively true. But what I really think this quote is getting at is the idea that if your game plan needs you to high roll, it's because you've already made a mistake. If you're sitting there, you're 20 HP and you're at this 4-2 situation, it's 4-2 and you have 40 gold to roll and you need to hit Ash 2 or you're going to die, that means that you've made a mistake somewhere in the game. You've lost too much HP, you've wasted your econ, you've picked poor augments, you've picked poor items. If you need to high roll your 2-star 4 cost on your roll down there, it means you've made a mistake. And at that moment, you are at the mercy of luck. And so everything that you can do in TFT to remove luck from the equation, to make it so that you aren't at the mercy of luck, that you can take advantage of luck, but if you get unlucky, that you can play around it. This is why Setsuko and Dish Soap and these type of players very often play for win streak, and why they're so high on the ladder, do so well in tournaments, because if you win streak in TFT, you have so much more room for error than if you lost streak. If you full open and then 4-2 it and miss, you're gonna die. You're going to die stage 4. But if you 100 streak and 4-2 it and miss, 1, you don't even have to roll down all your gold because you have that HP to play around, so you can sack a few rounds and maybe go fast 9. But 2, even if you do miss, you have that huge cushion of HP. You can wait a few rounds and then eventually you hit and then you get to play around that. So I think that is another hugely influential one in TFT, is that you need to be able to play around low roll in TFT. If you look at your low roll and say, well, I just low rolled this game, there is nothing I could do, why was your game so bad from low roll? If you hit the 1 in a million low roll and you made a 5th out of it or a 4th out of it, then, maybe you're a beast. But if you had to roll down and you had to hit exactly a few specific units, the other part of that to talk about is sort of the flexibility aspect of it, right? If you're rolling down and you're looking for one singular comp, and you miss that comp, you're gonna lose. You're just going to lose the game. But if you're rolling down and you're flexible in your options, you have your AD item slammed and you can play around Kai'Sa, you can play around Ashe, you can play around Kayn if you're a beast and flex all these different options. If you keep all of these ideas in your mind of playing around all these different comps and you play flexibly, which is almost always, I would even go as far to say always, is always the best way to play TFT, is being flexible and knowing how to play these different lines, then your spot will be infinitely better. If you and it removes the possibility of low rolling, because if you're rolling down for 4 comps or 3 comps as opposed to 1 comp, then the chance that you low roll goes down drastically. If you're rolling down for 1 comp, it is so much harder to hit. Also, I mean, just even to talk about this game, just to give a little example, I mean, so cool that Setsuko, this game, he decided to play around Kiana 3. He hit enough Kiana 3s. I think, like, some people would probably say he high rolled and that he hit Kiana 3 here, but honestly, he held all of the Kianas he played for it the entire game. How many of you guys would have held all these Kianas? I think a lot of people would have sold them for econ, would have said, oh, I need to transfer items to Lee Sin. He held these Kianas, and now he actually gets to play around Kiana 3 on his late game board, which is so insane and so strong. So just another example of understanding high rolls, understanding how to play your own game of TFT, and Setsuko, I mean, did a fantastic job this game of moving his items to the right units, of playing around the units he hit. On his stage 5 roll down, he had to roll a long time to find Irelia. If he had 10 less gold this game, 20 less gold this game, he wouldn't have found this Irelia, but he had the gold that he had because he win streaked, because he, you know, maintained his econ. So, I mean, he popped off in this game. So, that aside, but I did want to get into the last quote from Ego here, which I think is something so important to keep in mind, and so many people forget this, and I just think it's so nuts that people forget this. Luck falls equally on humans who can truly fight. What this means is that in a large sample, no one is lucky. Dish Soap, Setsuko, these people aren't always at the top of the ladder because they're the luckiest, and I think it is insane to say that these players are high rollers when you watch them just day in and day out consistently play good TFT. These players are the best because they've put in the work, because they are the strongest players. Luck, there is no lucky player in TFT. Over a large enough sample, also, oh my god, this Malphite player went top 3. Over a large enough sample, luck becomes zero influence whatsoever, and the only thing is what you yourself do, what you yourself think about. And so anytime you low roll in a game of TFT where you think that luck played a big influence on it, the thing that always comes back to me is that TFT, the best, you never look at the top of ladder and you're like, oh, that's just the luckiest player. That's just someone who randomly got to the top of ladder. You always look at the top of ladder and you see the best people in the world, the best people in the server, because those are the people who have put in the work. They have mitigated the downsides of luck. They have gone with the upsides of luck. They've grabbed a hold of luck, as a character in Jujutsu Kaisen says in my Twitter header, whatever it's called. But it's so important to be able to take advantage of luck in those ways, and to the biggest thing about this quote is the mindset, right? To say after a game of TFT, to think about what you could have done better, not what went wrong. I think so many people, when they get out of a game of TFT, they say, okay, what went wrong for me this game? What did I not hit this game? What did I not get, in this game? What was out of my control this game? And it's so silly to think about TFT in that way, because it's a single player game. It's so easy, in my opinion, to isolate yourself in TFT and say, here's what I could have done better. Here's where I messed up. And that's the way to truly get good at TFT, and to truly get good at anything, is to keep yourself accountable, to say, this is what I did wrong this game, and I need to take accountability for that, and in my next game, I'm going to do that better. I'm going to work on this skill. That is, I think, the most important thing you can do in TFT to get better at TFT, is take responsibility for your bad games, for your losses, and say, okay, whatever I did wrong that game, I'm going to do better next game. It's so important, and so few people actually have that mentality about TFT. So many people are more interested in deflecting blame and saying, well, I low rolled this game. If I had been a little bit high roller, like if I had been a little bit more high roll, then I could have top 4'd this game. No, if you had played a little bit better, you could have top 4'd this game. If you had played a little bit better, you could have won this game. Don't think about what's out of your control. It's the internal versus external locus of control. Don't think about what's outside of your control. Think about what's inside of your control, because that's the most important thing. That's what actually matters, is what you could have done better, because it doesn't matter what you could have high rolled or low rolled. That's not what happened, and that's not important for the future. What's important for the future is what you could do to play better TFT, to do better next time, and to end up winning lobbies, winning, top 4 in games, getting LP, and winning tournaments. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know about your thoughts on all this stuff down below. I don't know, this is just a fun one that I wanted to make, because the manga really made me think of these ideas in TFT, and I think this is really important stuff in TFT. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.